What's up, you guys? This is Adam Gillespie with Rant and Sweaty Calves coming at you with yet another video, and this is going to be the start of a new series on my YouTube channel that will be split up into its own playlist called Degenerate Hollywood. Now, as we all know, Alec Baldwin has had a shady past within the last year or so due to an accidental death on the set of his movie Rust, and it seems to be biting him in the butt again when he is being charged with involuntary manslaughter. A grand jury in New Mexico indicted the actor in the shooting death of the cinematographer on the film Rust, months after the original case against him was dismissed. A grand jury in New Mexico just did that. We already read that. We don't need to read that again. Jeez Louise. The indictment came exactly 1 year after the first involuntary manslaughter case against him was announced. This is the latest reversal of fortune for Mr. Baldwin. The local district attorney's initial case fell apart in the initial charge against Mr. Baldwin was dismissed in April, but a new prosecution team, Kari T. Morrissey and Jason J. Lewis, decided to present the case to a grand jury, which indicted Mr. Baldwin on Friday. In New Mexico, an involuntary manslaughter conviction on a charge like the one Mr. Baldwin faces can carry up to 18 months in prison. We look forward to our day in court. Mr. Baldwin's lawyers, Luke Nikas, is that how you pronounce it? Luke Nikas? I don't know how to pronounce it. And Alex Spiro said in a statement on Friday. You guys let me know how to pronounce Mr. Luke's last name. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Mr. Baldwin, who both starred in and was a producer of Rust, a Western, has maintained that he was not responsible for the death of the cinematographer, Halyna Hutchins, saying that he was told the gun did not contain any live rounds and there was not supposed to be any live ammunition at all on set. Okay, so I just want to clear this up. It's entirely possible that he did not know that he was handed a gun that had a live round in it. Oftentimes, firearms that use blanks are also used to see if it is firing properly live rounds on the set of Hollywood productions. It is the job of the armorer to properly ensure that all firearms are safe, that when using said firearms, it is only blanks. However, it seems as though this armorer missed one of the rounds that was in the firearm and failed to replace it with a blank. Does that then make Alec Baldwin innocent of an accidental death? No, it does not make him innocent. What it does make is it's an involuntary manslaughter in that situation. If he were to do voluntary manslaughter, well, we already know that's basically just killing somebody. But involuntary manslaughter is the accidental death of a person, right? By the hands of another person. That is also technically classified, I believe, as homicide under illegal law, but we're not going to get into the legality of like wording and whatnot. But involuntary manslaughter is still something that he could be charged with because that type of firearm that he was using only goes off if the hammer is pulled back and the trigger is pulled. And the fact that Alec Baldwin was pointing it at the direction of the cinematographer, Halyna Hutchins, I believe is what her name was, he is guilty of involuntary manslaughter because the gun was in his hand, and the only time that a gun goes off is if you pull the trigger. Now, the only defense that he could potentially make is if he was potentially trying to replace the hammer back where it was supposed to be originally, back in the safe position. So on a revolver, what happens is you pull the trigger, and as you pull the trigger, it cocks the hammer back until eventually the hammer hits that release point where it slams itself forward, hitting the firing pin and causing the firing pin to strike the back plate of a bullet or of the casing of a round, and then it fires off the actual projectile. Now, the only defense that Alec Baldwin really has in this instance is that as he was trying to safely replace the hammer back to its original spot, it slipped out of his thumb or escaped his grasp, and it accidentally hit the firing pin, causing a live round to be fired in the directions of the woman who was sadly killed on the set of Rust. That is the only possible defense that he has. But that is not actual evidence. That would be what I think is considered circumstantial at best, and it doesn't really equate to anything other than speculation, right? It's speculative. It's basically like, well, this is what could have happened at this point in time. Now, it is a testimony. If that is what they go with, which I'm not saying it will be, but if that's what they go with, then that would be a testimony that they could use to potentially act as a defense of Alec Baldwin. Would that make him innocent of involuntary manslaughter charges? I'm not exactly sure on that, because I do still think that if you are the one holding the gun and you are the one who accidentally caused the death of a person, you should still be charged with involuntary manslaughter under purview of the law, right? I mean, unless you are acting in good faith as an attempt to save a person's life. Like, say that you're performing CPR on somebody and you perform CPR at too deep a compression level that actually causes the ribs to break and press into a person's lungs. You were trying to save them. Now, unfortunately, they didn't make it because the lungs punctured, the rib cage was puncturing the lungs, but you did act in good faith, provided that you were licensed in BLS care, trying to save a person only to fail. That's a sad possibility, but that is something that could happen. Now, would you be charged with involuntary manslaughter? You might be charged with it. Would you be convicted of it? That's a whole other case. You know, that's the same thing that looks like Alec Baldwin is looking at right now. He is definitely charged with involuntary manslaughter, or is charged with manslaughter just straight up. And the best defense that he has was that the fanning of that the hammer of this firearm slipped out of his grasp and accidentally struck the firing pin, causing a live round to go off, and that it wasn't his fault directly. But seeing as how he is a producer on this film, ultimately the responsibility of the death of this woman still falls on his shoulders, because he should have had the proper people looking over the proper guidelines and rules to keep everybody safe when dealing with firearms. So ultimately, it does still come back on his shoulders, since he is one of the producers and one of the people in the one of the higher ups in regards to the movie, one of the basically the commanding officers of the film and of the set, and he should have hired someone who was going to take the job as seriously as possible and ensure safety at every level. And it doesn't sound like this armorer was paying attention to the firearm that actually wound up killing the woman, due to it being shot on set. Again, sad story. I wonder how this is going to turn out. This is just all speculation as of right now. Those are my general thoughts on this. I didn't want to read the entire article. If you guys want to, you can find this one on New York Times. Alec Baldwin is charged again with involuntary manslaughter. Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, share this video out there with your friends, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon if you haven't already, and make sure to check me out on my Twitter as well. I will leave a link to that in the description below, so if you guys want to go follow that and help me grow on Twitter, I would greatly appreciate it. Nevertheless, I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of the week.